Hi guys, it's me, Carrie Silver Lining Mena, and I'm trying something new today. I didn't mean to, but as you'll notice, there was no like little intro video. Oh my god, look, I'm gonna be going crazy this whole video because I am trying a new program. Everything's opposite, so I'm trying to fix this hair right here because it bothers me, but I'm doing it. I can't handle this. I can't handle this. Oh my god. What? I think I just have to not look at my hair. Oh my gosh, this is gonna make me nuts. Okay, so I already recorded this video, but my program went crazy. So I had to do all kinds of like techie shit to try to retrieve it. And I was able to download the newest version, so everything's okay. However, I lost my little intro. And I chose to not create a new one for a couple reasons. One, because I just can't stand that shit and it's really hard for me. And also because I've invited my boy Ryan to take a crack at it. We're going to see what he does. School's out in a couple days. So we'll see if he comes up with something. Oh my God, look. If not, then I'm gonna have to make it again myself. Ooh, unless one of you guys want to make me a little intro. Ooh. Okay, so let me just get started. I'm kind of glad I'm doing this one over because I liked the last one, but I was in a different place and I was like super in love with the 20s and going on and on with about them. I will go on a little bit about them because I learned something that's not necessarily twin related, but journey related that everybody can relate to, maybe. So let me go ahead and just start. What are we? We're in the end of May. So I want to go way back, like a month ago for my birthday trip with Carrie and Tiffany and Sarah. Sarah and Tiffany. Well, Tiffany, I think she did most of the organizing, but Tiffany and Sarah conspired to take me and Carrie out on a weekend to the Texas Hill Country for our 50th birthdays. We turned 50 this year and we're 2 weeks apart. I'm 2 weeks older than Carrie is. 2 weeks or 1 week? I can't remember. Anyway, I'm older than she is. And, I'm always going on about the housewives, about how I want to live like that glamorous lifestyle of the housewives. And that's what I got to do. They arranged for me and Carrie to both have like a dream come true. And my dream was pretty simple. I try to do it all the time when I'm out on my own, which isn't very often. I mean, like traveling by myself. But I have a fantasy of just going and being fancy and having a glass of wine at like a cafe or I don't know, just something that has a lot of atmosphere. But I always chicken out and I can't even make myself go have a coffee in like a Starbucks coffee bar. I don't know what my problem is, but anyway, Tiffany arranged for us to have dinner at a fancy winery, and I got hammered enough that I paid for the whole dinner, and it was really expensive. I don't know what got into me, but that's okay because if you remember from that channeling with Eric and Michelle, that I am a master manifester and I will always have money. So I figured that one was on the universe. Thanks, universe. And Carrie got to live out one of her fantasies too. This feels crooked. Which was doing goat yoga. So I felt very real housewifey because that's the kind of adventure that they might have. The only difference was that we didn't have somebody else pay for it. Although we got a lot of like freebies and discount. Well, did we get discounts? I don't know. I got most of it paid for except for that dinner. So I even feel like I got like the shit paid for. But we didn't have the drama. We didn't have the cameras and we didn't have the drama. And the reason I always fantasize about that is because I want the network to pay for our adventures. But we managed just fine without the help from the network. And so I just wanted to make the point that I have manifested a fantasy, a dream come true. So I am on my way to, rolling myself in those cookies that Eric was talking about, like the peanut butter balls or whatever, where you just like roll up all the good stuff. Although, they always say that, oh, you've done all your work, now the good parts start. They've been saying that for like 2 years. So I did get that birthday weekend, but I'm going to talk about soon how my good parts have not quite started yet. But another thing that happened at my birthday, if you remember, I don't know, and again, I don't know what I've said or if it's part of the last video that I'm not even going to publish. So I apologize if I'm doing that repeating shit again. But I think the last video I mentioned that I don't have like hunger and fullness cues, and I'm going to have to like siphon them out. Well, that's not necessarily true, I realized, because, at your birthday, you get like free meals from all over town. My refrigerator was filled with to-go boxes with half-eaten meals. So if I'm not having fullness cues, then why am I coming home with half of my meal? So I do get them, and I have been getting hungry too. So that did change a little bit. I'm really glad to hear that, but I was kind of at a standstill and I didn't really know what to do next. I mean, I know that I want to create balance, and I know, the next step, I feel like if I'm not going to necessarily diet, how else do you lose weight? You exercise. So I've really stepped up my game, like literally. I'm stepping, and I make sure that I do a walk with my dog almost every day. And that is a workout, because I'm either pulling her because she found a real good sniff, or she's pulling me because she found a real good sniff. So either way, it's a tug of war. And I get my heart rate up. And I learned that I'm not supposed to do like hardcore Mac Daddy workouts, because that creates spikes in my levels, hormone levels. I don't know. And I don't want spikes. I'm all about balance. So lucky for me that the long walks with a steady yet elevated heart rate are the way to go for me and my particular body type, because I'm not that kind of girl that's going to go and kick ass. My body is sore, and I believe that is because I ate like crap for almost a year. I was making peace with food, and that really was a necessary process. It had its consequences, not only in the amount of weight I've gained, but the inflammation in my body. I felt like I was 200 years old, and I would have to push myself up off furniture to stand up. And I was like, wow, I'm not living my life like this. Something's got to change. So I wasn't sure if it was like I gained so much weight so fast that I didn't have like the strength to carry my own weight, or if it was just because the inflammation was so bad that every single movement hurt. It could have been a little bit of both, but I've been really making a conscious effort, if not like perfectly balanced nutrition for myself. I've been eating a lot of foods. I've been researching to see what helps lower inflammation. Oatmeal and green leafy vegetables and I don't know, other stuff. Turmeric. I've been drinking things that have turmeric in them. And I no longer feel 200 years old. I felt like 100 years old about a week ago. Maybe I'm about, 93 today. So it is getting better. In my notes here, let me see. Oh, and I have no more interest in buying candy. Every once in a while, I'm like, well, I have a sweet tooth, but I know that it won't satisfy me the way it once did. I really enjoyed that making peace with food. It was such freedom, but I wouldn't have that same freedom because I'm beyond that. And I know that eating a sack of Kroger brand Juju fish is not going to bring me peace like it did over the summer. It's just going to make me feeling like shit. So food is not my answer. If I really want a sweet, because I want a sweet, I'll have a sweet. But if I'm like, and I still don't know why I would crave the candy. I keep saying when I do get into the sweets, because I haven't bought candy in a long, long time, but I had some old gummy bears from Easter time. And so I got into those. The gummy bears are okay, but it's nothing I would ever choose to binge on yet. There I was eating all these gummy bears. And like Eric said, to kind of process in your mind why you're eating this. And I'm like, I have no idea. Oh, hang on. I have no idea why I'm eating. I had no idea why I was eating this, besides it tasted good, but it didn't even taste good enough to justify eating it. So I'm still at kind of a loss. And I realized that candy is not my go-to right now. I'm back to the saltines, and I've added butter, which is definitely a childhood favorite, but I'm trying to figure out what I'm reaching for back in childhood. Because, certainly wasn't time with my mom. And I'm going back to what Denise and the guide said, why are you sitting there? And I guess it's because I can eating. I guess it's because I can self-soothe without anybody else. Food can bring me whatever's missing. So I'm trying to figure out what's missing, and I don't know yet. So I feel like every time I eat something I ought not eat, I'm okay with it. I'm not beating myself up, but I'm really trying to figure out why I'm eating it. And I can't figure it out. My answer so far is because it tastes good. Let's see here. So, my goal is, to eat for maximum efficiency for my body. And because I have the PCOS, that automatically puts me into a place of making healthier choices that will facilitate weight loss. mixed with my walking, I don't know what else I can add. I do want to, I've been stretching a little and doing like little like leg lifts and arm twirls, whatever. I need to like step up my game even more because I want to be more limber. And I had a thought the other day that I'm like, I feel like I'm training for sex. I would not have the stamina right now. I mean, like my vagina and my horniness can handle it, but my joints, my legs, my thighs, my hips, my back, I don't think any of that could handle like marathon fuck sessions like I'm very much looking forward to. Okay, so let me continue on with, I want to segue and use my food in my body stuff, my food stuff into what happened and something I didn't really talk about in the last video. So this will be a brand new one. I'm going to let go of some of the twin talk and replace that with what I'm currently experiencing. And it's not all about me. It's partly about me, but I just got done saying that I'm in a place right now where I'm going to try to learn how to put things in my body. And even though I have healthy things or efficiency things, I don't want anything to have like a correlation with weight loss. It's okay to be healthy and make discerning choices to make my body run at maximum efficiency so my body doesn't hurt and I have stamina and whatever else. But weight loss is just going to be a bonus thing. I am not dieting to lose weight. Fuck that. I'm over that shit. It's just going to be like a consequence that naturally happens with my other good choices. So because I'm at this place that I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? This is what the universe provided to me. And I see the timing of it. And just to, preface this next story, I have permission from my daughter, Layla, to share this story with you. And she was so cute. She's like, all right, but if you say anything about me in my story, you got to do a trigger warning. And I laughed so hard because that was really sweet of her. But, my videos do not need a trigger warning. You guys already expect, some shit to fall out of my mouth. So what's going on with my kid, among other things? I learned that I suspected, and then Eric validated, confirmed that my kids are indeed transmuting. I don't think the younger boy Ryan is really doing it too much. I know what's up with my boy Josh, that he's that first president of Turkey. But Layla, I have no fucking idea what's going on with her. One of the things she's doing a lot is cutting. She cuts on the top of her thighs. I was all about my arms. She's the top of her thighs, and it distresses me. But as long as you don't cut too deep, it's kind of just like a superficial wound and you'll heal from it. I don't like her to suffer that way. But what's really worrying me is all of a sudden, out of the blue, this girl developed a full-blown eating disorder. And I'm going to call it anorexia. Although, that's just, I have very limited understandings of them. I guess mine is binge eating disorder. Hers, I believe, is she might have a little bit of binge eating too. But she does not fucking eat anymore. She'll eat like 3 pieces of kale or this much smoothie or just such minimal food, and it's freaking me the fuck out. She's a little itty bitty thing, and she says she's lost 12 pounds, and she's too little to be losing weight. And like last summer, she has a friend that starves herself, and we would talk about it a lot because she was very worried about her friend, and she also thought it was kind of stupid to want to lose weight. I mean, why? The girl was already thin. And so I kind of tried to explain to her that many times people develop these eating disorders when they feel like they have a lack of control in their lives. So controlling what they put in their body gives them a sense of control. But we can't figure out why she would want or, have the need, because she, even with the cutting, it's like I cut because I didn't have a voice. Well, this girl has a voice and she has so much support and so much love. She has a mama that's been there, done that. Well, I know why I've been there, done that. It's to help her through it. I had my own reasons, but this is, another reason is to help her through it. So now that we're at the same place in this eating disorder stuff, and let me just explain how I came to this next conclusion. You know how Heather and I would do like the same things at the same time, but in our own contexts? Well, here I am with my kid. I am healing from my eating disorder at the same time as my kid. And one night I went to bed and I was so distraught, such despair, that I started like sobbing uncontrollably. And it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. So I got up and went and hid in my closet because I didn't want to bother my husband. And I was crying so hard. I'm like, okay, this isn't just me being sad. I'm transmuting right now. So I turned it into like a full-blown healing session. And it was reminiscent of me in the early days. And I just imagined us just like, beautiful mother-daughter energy, just holding each other. And just, I don't know, I'm not even going to get into my visuals. But at the beginning of my journey, I was so like off in the clouds. So I did a lot of off in the clouds imagery. And she told me the next day, she didn't know I was doing this. She said, wow, I had the best night's sleep I've had in a long time. And I went, ding. And then listen to this. I quit weighing myself back in August because it's just one of the things that the intuitive eating book said do. Just get, and I can't tell you the freedom. I knew I was going to gain weight. I knew I was. I went into that realizing it. So what was the point of monitoring it? Because that scale fucked my shit up. I'd weigh myself when I got up in the morning, strip down, then I'd weigh myself after I peed. I wanted to do the before and after. Then I'd go and eat and I'd weigh myself before I pottied and after I pottied again. All day, and I'd strip down if I was dressed. So all day long I was a slave to the scale. And if I went up a half a pound, my day was ruined. I was a big loser. If I went down a half a pound, I was a rock star and on my way. That little itty bitty teeny tiny bit of weight that everybody, fluctuates from, it's completely normal, would make me or break me. So my kid went to a party last weekend and she ate, I don't know how much she ate, probably 5 pieces of lettuce instead of 2, but she felt disgusted and she got on the scale and she told me that she gained 2.4 pounds and it was beating her up and I was so pissed. I took that scale and I went and hid it. And then, oh, that's not true. I hid this. I'm sorry. Let me back up. I hid the scale. Oh, I can't even remember. It doesn't even matter. Anyway, my husband hid it and that irritated me because he doesn't even think to himself that there may be some kind of reason that my wife is doing this. He probably got irritated with me and put it back. Oh, that made me so mad because that's when she went and weighed herself. That's what it was. I can't even remember. Sorry, I'm getting the story wrong, but it did irritate me that he didn't check with me first. I hadn't had an opportunity to talk to him. He just made some assumption, which is his MO. And as I've mentioned before, his assumptions are usually coming from a place of the glass half empty. And he probably thought some shitty thought about me and accused me of something I didn't do. I didn't even bother to ask. I didn't even want to be triggered. So in a side story, the night that this whole scale thing was happening, I went to urgent care because a few weeks ago, believe it or not, I wiped out and my elbow has been hurting me since. I sprained my ankle and I bonked my knee and those both feel better, but the elbow doesn't. In fact, the elbow feels worse. So I'm like, fuck, I got to deal with this shit. So I go to get an x-ray at urgent care. And as I'm sitting there, I'm texting my husband and I'm explaining to him how incredibly detrimental it is for people with eating disorders to have a scale. Please don't put it back out there because Layla's need to not know her weight is more important than his need to know his weight. If you want to weigh yourself, then you take the scale out and put it away each time or go put it somewhere else. Don't make easy access for that scale because you're breaking her heart. I can tell you firsthand that it messed my shit up. And then I sent the text and then it was my turn to get called in and I went in to go weigh myself. And I told the lady, I don't want to know the number. She goes, okay, no problem. Turn around. So, I didn't bother to derobe like I would have at one point because I didn't give a fuck what that weight was. I knew it was high. I didn't want to know how much because the freedom of not knowing was so nice. So I went and got my x-ray. There's nothing wrong. My elbow still hurts. I don't know what the deal is. I guess maybe it just needs a long time to heal. But the next day, I was looking at the paperwork, deciding if I needed it or if I should throw it away. And there it is. There's my weight. I was so fucking pissed. When you tell a nurse that you don't want to know your weight and she puts it on the fucking paperwork and hands it to you, that's a complete disregard for my request. And it sabotaged months worth of not necessarily work, but my heart sank. I didn't want to see that number. And I immediately started justifying, well, I had on 2 shirts and one of them was a heavy sweatshirt and my shorts were heavy and I might have had something in my pocket and my boots were thick. And I'm going on and on and on trying to tell myself it's not as bad as you think it is. And I burst into tears and I was so upset. I was so angry. And I realized that my anger was bigger than it needed to be, because in reality, I really wasn't surprised by the number. I just didn't want to know. But what I realized was the synchronistic timing of Layla being beat up by the number on the scale the same like day or within 24 hours of me being beat up by the scale. And that let me know that I am to walk this path with my baby girl. So I don't have all the answers. I do know that I tried to go to therapy once for the eating disorder, and I ended up teaching the therapist more than she could ever teach me. My inner work is like, therapists can't touch it. I guess that's what a spiritual awakening is clearing your traumas without having the help of a therapist. And I guess you can have therapy. And of course you can, get on medication, whatever it is, but I don't need it. I'm doing just fine without their help. So if I'm going to do just fine, and I have Layla in therapy and the therapist knows about this, so I don't know what's going to happen with that. They can do their own thing. But for me, I've just decided to take her along with me, and together we're going to beat this. She's got such a good attitude about it too. I'm so proud of her because she doesn't want to wallow in it. She's like, I don't want to be this way. Why can't I eat? The thought of food disgusts me, even when I'm hungry. And when I do eat a little bit, it makes me sick. So I'm reading up about it on it. And I learned that if you don't eat and then I don't even think this is like I think it's kind of common sense. If you don't eat and then you eat something, your stomach kind of rejects it. So she can't even tolerate little bits of food or healthy food or anything else. So I'm trying to introduce, just like me, wanting to create this schedule or fullness and hunger cues by siphoning it, by creating a schedule for me to eat. That's my goal. School ends in just a few more days, as I've mentioned. So she's going to be my buddy. She's going to be my little glue stick. And I'm going to be like, okay, it's time for us to eat. It's been 2.5 hours. And even if I can only get a few bites of power-packed food into her, I'll do that, because I don't want her body shutting down and going into what's that called? Famine mode. Because that's when your hormone levels fuck up. I talked about that gremlin hormone. It's like ghrelin or something. Well, the other one is leptin. I don't know which one's which. One's hunger, one's fullness. And you will fuck your shit up. And every time you fuck your shit up by dieting, your body does go into starvation mode. So when you do finally feed again, you get to that place where I got to eat. I did this whole thing, I binged for 18 months and I had, what do they call it? Super hunger? Extreme hunger. So I just fucking ate and for months, even when my belly was full, because I had this extreme hunger behind it telling me you need to eat more. So when that happens, every time you lose weight and put it back on, you gain a little bit more. That's the reason for it. So I'm really trying to emphasize to her, please keep your levels there, or keep them, come and keep these hormones by eating just a little bit. Otherwise, the damage will be a whole lot bigger than it is. And with my eating disorder, I always believed I was doing the right thing. I believed that I was keto because my fertility issues or whatever. And the PCOS, you don't respond well to carbs. Sorry, they fuck you up. And doctors tell you lose weight, lose weight, lose weight. So my eating disorder was created by healthcare professionals and the television image and, whatever diet culture and uneducated doctors. Layla, I don't know where the fuck Layla's is coming from, because there's no doctor ever or TV show ever that will say, stop eating food. Don't eat food anymore. You need to be super skinny. And when we talk about our friend, she go, oh yeah, she's really skinny. Every single friend that we talk about, her first thought, her first comparison or comment is about their size. Oh, she's thinner than I am. Where the fuck did this come from? Where the fuck did this come from? And it's got to be past life. I don't know what circumstance she recreated for it. Maybe she doesn't even need to recreate a circumstance for it, because here's mom to say, oh, you're reliving a past life or healing from it. We're transmuting. Let's do it together. So, and this has created so much sorrow in me. So much sorrow, so much despair that I break down and I cry often. And the level of grief I experience brings me back to the level of grief I experienced with Michael. And Archangel Michael on the Shiny Show said, you're not having grief. You're doing something else. And that's when I learned that I was transmuting for the world at large. That's why it was so painful. So maybe I'm transmuting for the world at large, but I'm definitely transmuting for her and for me. And it's like, and that realization made me understand that when Eric said, this is your job, I have other jobs like these videos and taking care of my kids and whatever it is, the dishes, the laundry, whatever. I have those kinds of jobs, but I realized that as a healer, my job as a healer is to suffer. I suffer for other people. I suffered for Mariana. I'm suffering for my kid. I suffer for everybody. And I fight at home. I fight with my husband to help him reach his place of healing and his trauma. I'm still, well, let's shift gears into that, because I have an interesting story about that. I've already explained back in November how we had like that big shift, whenever that was, back in the wintertime, and everything was beautiful, and he was brushing my hair every night. We're getting along great. He was very grateful for how I let him see the light. Well, these things are done in layers, and things went right back to tense and fighting and full of shit, and we can barely tolerate each other. We love each other, but we can barely tolerate each other. And I had a big realization, just as Eric said I would, when he said, you're going to see what's happening in real time as the arguments happen, and you're going to find peace because you're going to see that his trauma is his trauma, and you can back off from it because you won't need to absorb it or, take on his garbage. So let me tell a little story. We were sitting down, me and my husband and my son Ryan, and we were watching TV and we were eating popsicles. And we have this couch where like the cushion goes like this, and then there's the back. So there's like a little like tuck in space to put stuff. And I put my phone there, the remote control's there. You could put anything there, your bag of chips that you've finished eating, whatever. So we had some popsicles, and when the popsicles were eaten, I took 2 of the popsicle sticks and I went like that and put it like where I could reach. And my husband says, why are you putting that on my side? And I was like, I didn't even know what to say to that, because that very much sounded like a 6-year-old child saying, don't touch me. Or, you touched my elbow, or he touched my doorknob, mom, or whatever it was. I was like, because we've all done this. For years, we've had this couch and we've all tucked our trash in, or our remote controls, or whatever it is. We use that for a temporary holding space because it's stable. So I didn't say anything except for, because I can't reach my own. I can't reach. So I just reached over here. It's got nothing to do with you. And then one of the reasons we put our trash back there is because in front of us is the TV on the wall. Behind us is the kitchen where the trash is. So if we have the trash back here, it's easier to just grab it instead of come all the way around the couch to the table. It's just a matter of convenience. But he took it so personally, as if a child would. So I thought about that and I thought about that. I'm like, you know what? He is 6 years old. He is a 6-year-old boy. And I remembered when my struggles with Michael is I couldn't stand myself, because I'd be like, Michael, I'm 14 years old. Because my fantasies were 14, my hurts were 14, or 15, 16, 17, whatever. They were very immature and very juvenile. Remember, I've said this before, that I was 2 different people for a long time, and one of those people was a teenager. So even though I was this competent mother dealing with, running a household, I was also this, traumatized young girl. And I relived that and I healed that stuff through the twins. And I know that some of it happened at home, but my husband doesn't have a twin flame. So he's reliving and his traumas through his family. He acts very immature with my kids too. And they call him out on it. Ooh, in fact, I got to tell you about the impromptu intervention I had. So anyway, I kind of told my husband, I said, I'm not making a big deal out of the popsicle sticks. It's not anything you have to heal from. But do you remember that story I often tell about the vacuum cleaner, when my mom, she was vacuuming and she kind of barked at me and said, quit following me. And she didn't want me to get whacked in the head by the vacuum because I was like a little thing. But that made me feel rejected. Stop following me. That stuck with me. And rationally, I don't think I really have to heal from it. I always remembered it though. So just like that example, that lets me know that you remember things, even as little wee things, and they hurt your feelings still, even if you can rationalize them as an adult. I wanted him to see that, we can be very easily triggered into a place back then. You really don't care anymore about the popsicle sticks, because he said he kind of put two and two together, because I thought about that too. And that reminded me of when we were little kids. If one of us put the trash by somebody else, my mom didn't care. It's like whoever the trash was by, that's the person that had to deal with it. And you can see how a parent or a teacher would be like, I don't care, just deal with it. It's in your spot, you deal with it. And you can see how unfair that would feel to you. So you can see how you would carry that with you. So if he's busting out, a 57-year-old man saying, why are you putting the popsicle sticks on my side? Clearly, there's some trauma going on, or going back to that place. So what I realized, how I tell you all the time that it is a constant theme around here that he blames me and accuses me of things I haven't done. I mean, it's non-stop. And I realized that that's a trigger he created. This is a trauma he created. This isn't something from my childhood. I was with him when I was 20. So he's the one. My mom would never own shit. She would never apologize for shit, but she didn't necessarily accuse me of doing things I hadn't done. That's all on him. He 100% created this trauma within me. But his trauma stems back of the one that, my trauma of blaming me of things that I haven't done, accusing me of things I haven't done. He does this for a couple reasons. One, because if somebody else did it, then it's not on him and he didn't do anything wrong. And number two, he just has a need to hold somebody responsible for everything, even when it doesn't even matter. A simple miscommunication would suffice for me. Oh, we just didn't understand each other. Or, oh, we got our wires crossed, but not him. He has to blame somebody, and it can't ever be him. So who gets the blame? Me, the most convenient person. He blames other people for other things too. You just would not believe the dark place that his mind goes to when he thinks that somebody has wronged him. His first interpretation of things is the one he sticks with, and it doesn't even make sense all the time. It's like, why are you going there? That reminds me, I realized something else about him. So here's his trauma. When he was a little kid, his mother would often tell her three children, the fourth wasn't born yet, that the reason your daddy left us is because you guys laughed too much in bed and he couldn't handle all the giggling, so he left. So in his mind, and this doesn't match entirely, but in his mind, he's thinking that mommy told daddy that the children were bad, so daddy left. Well, now, the place he's at now, he's always accusing me of turning the kids against him. But the reality is, I don't know if I've said this before, but I'm doing damage control. They already know he's acting like his traumatized self when he speaks to them. So I come in and I say, daddy loves you. He's still learning how to communicate with us. Please don't let him dump his garbage on you. Love him anyway. He's trying really hard. And in his mind, that is actually, to him, he's like, you're pointing out to them that I did a bad thing and they never would have known if you didn't tell them. And I'm like, that's not true. They're smart enough to know when you're being shitty to them. I'm not telling them you're being shitty to them. You are being shitty to them and they know it. So I'm going over there and tell them that you don't deserve it, or that they don't deserve it, and that daddy's still learning. So give him a break and cut him some slack, because he'll get there. I'm doing you a favor. I'm doing them a favor. And he doesn't see it that way at all. He goes, oh, you're doing me a favor by telling them these things. He refuses to see what's really happening. The kids see it. So in his mind, he's having like a little twist on daddy left you guys because you kids giggled. He now thinks that mommy is telling the children that daddy is a bad, bad man. And now the children will leave him because of it, because of the lies I've told. So maybe the kids didn't laugh a lot. Maybe, I don't know, but maybe my husband would think to himself, mommy told daddy that we laughed too much and now daddy left. There's no doubt in my mind. I am 100% convinced that the reason he is constantly accusing me of turning the kids against him is because he believes that his mother turned dad against the kids and then left him. And one of the problems with this, I mean, I'm like, ding, 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 I solved your trauma. Now I'm like, do your inner work. I'm like, fix it, fix yourself. I found it. Now fix it, fix it. I'm putting way too much pressure on him. Even when I know what my own trauma is, I need like a long time to deal with it. Don't forget, my journey started in like 2013, 14, and I'm still on my journey. It took me a long time to understand patterns. It took me a long time to understand how he and I are the yin and the yang to each other, that we have, complementary traumas. It took a long time for me to understand how past circumstances are relevant today and things like that. So he doesn't even believe in my shit all the way. So how can I expect him to go, oh, how observant of you. Yes, indeed, that is my trauma. I'm going to fix it right away. He still wants to be in a place of blaming me for turning the kids against him. So one day I had an impromptu intervention, and the kids all agreed with me that I never ever say shit like hate daddy. And in fact, I'm always trying to do damage control, and that I beef him up and I say really nice things about him, about what great care he takes about us. And clearly he loves us, but he just doesn't know how to talk about us. And they all corroborated this information. And all I got with him, oh God, I can't stand that I have to fix my hair all the time. All I got out of him was that I'll put some thought into this. I guess, that's all one can hope for, I guess. I don't know how much thought's gone into it, maybe a little bit. I can only plant seeds. I cannot do his work for him. Although I do plenty of work for him, to be honest. So all of the kids were, saying, Dad, you act very much like a victim. You act very immature. Mom's not saying this, but you're turning it into this, and you're creating a problem that isn't even there. And that thing kept happening again and again too. I would accuse him and I think he does do this sometimes, but now I'm realizing that this isn't exactly what I thought it was. I always accuse him of throwing an orange into my apple cart. And I'm like, why are you throwing an orange? These are apples and oranges. You can't make this. You can't do that. We're not talking about that. Quit going over there. And in my mind, I thought it was like a way for him to deflect on what we're really talking about. So let's pretend like I don't know what you're talking about and be confused. Well, I realized that my husband, I'm a very fast processor. I'm the kind of girl that can play chess and see the moves a few moves ahead. And he, he'll often say, you don't know what I'm going to say. Don't speak for me. And I go, I bet you were going to say this, blah, 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 blah. And I was right, because I just have a fast processing and I see things clearly in a way he does not. Not only that, he has his trauma filter. So he doesn't see things as the truth. He sees them through his skewed glass half empty filter. Not only that, and I'm not knocking him, because this man is, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, but this is one of his weaknesses, is that he has very slow processing, and he'd be the first to admit that he needs to read a paragraph several times over before he understands it. So that made me realize that if we're having this heated argument and I present him with an example, he might not get the example, because I will, I repeat things over and over and over again, which he hates, but I realize I have to do it because he can't understand things on the first go around. So quit being pissed off at me for repeating myself, because clearly you don't get it on the first time I've said it. And second of all, he gets so derailed in his own thoughts. So he'll glom onto one key word and then make up the meaning in his head. And it's like, where the fuck are you getting that from? Nobody said anything like that. And it baffles me. So I have to spend time untangling that misconception so that we can come back to this misconception, so we can come all the way back to this one, which is the real issue, which is you fucked up again. I don't say it like that, but that's what I'm thinking. So I'm thinking that because he doesn't want to deal with his fuck up, that he's throwing these apples into my orange cart or whatever on purpose. But that's not it. So I realized that because he has slow comprehension, and because he's like living in a 6-year-old vibration, I have to really chill out and slow things down. He's never going to get it. He's just going to keep that wall of defense up. But see, I'm in such a place of trauma that what he does in this tangle apple orange bullshit, he pushes my buttons. He gaslights me and he makes me fucking nuts. I've said this before. It is one of his MOs. He does it on purpose. It works out for him. We end up getting a huge screaming fight, but he's off the hook because I'm too upset now. And now he can point the finger and go, ooh, you're crazy. Look how crazy you are. He forgets that it didn't start off crazy. He thinks I just go in at 1,000 miles per hour. I'm like, no, I tried very calmly to explain things to you, but you went over here in the apple cart when I was still in the orange cart. It's very frustrating. So I see that this cycle, I'm going to have to be the one to break it, because I'm the one that understands inner work. I'm the one that understands trauma, and I'm the one that believes in the process. So I have to be the strong one, and that's okay. Somebody's got to do it. That's my job. That's not his strength. His strength is putting us in this big, beautiful house and me not having to worry about anything ever, 3D shit. Let's see. I think I got all of the stuff about those two. Let me see here. Okay. So, and the kids are always tattling on him. They're always tattling on him. Dad did this and Dad did that. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm glad you came to me. Some of the things I'll confront him with, and some of the things I'll just let go because they just needed to vent. But when they come and tattle on me, I do use that as ammunition. Tattle to me. I use it as ammunition, because I'm like, listen, this kid came up to me independently. I didn't tell him to say this thing. So I'm not telling him your dad's a bad man. They came up and expressed this to me. So stop trying to blame me for your bad behavior. Stop doing that. Own your fucking shit and change your ways, because you're alienating your kids. And the more you blame me for it, the more they see it. You're not doing yourself any service. Okay, so let me see if I can find a way to make that segue to the twins. Okay, I kind of got one. So because I have all of this shit going on in my life, let's go back to Eric saying that I'm rolling in the good stuff right now. I don't know what good stuff I'm rolling in right now, because to be honest with you, and I don't want to be whiny, I'm just going to be honest. I am so fucking bored. I feel like I live in the most posh jail ever, and my only outing is to go to the grocery store. I don't do anything. I see Sarah like every 10 days for 3 hours. Every couple of months, I'll go see Carrie and Tiffany. But other than that, I mean, I'm in jail. This is where I live, eat, breathe, cry, mutate, transmute, inner work, fight. I don't do anything. I mean, all this makeup I have on, I haven't put on makeup in probably 5 weeks. I don't do anything. I'm in this jail place. So, and I that's just my life right now. I'm not rolling in the good stuff yet. I had that birthday, but I finished all my twin work and I jumped right into healing from my daughter. I'm still having that sense of grief. It's very painful. So I'm like, what the fuck, Eric? Don't tell me that shit about rolling in the good stuff if I'm over here suffering some more for somebody else. And I don't know. I just feel like it's got to get better. So in the meantime, I use my twins. They're my fantasies to bring me peace and comfort and just something other than this rut I'm in. But it's harder. It's hard for me to find them. I mean, I'm a really good fantasizer. But sometimes I can't even get to in my little dreams, I can't get to like 3 minutes into it. And I don't mean like, sexy stuff, although sometimes, but just like the reunion, like seeing them for the first time in a long time. I love that part. That's one of my favorite fantasies, but I can't even think about that. However, that's because I'm so like preoccupied in my 3D world. But I did have a thought. I did have a realization about Fairy Boy. And this is the thing that I feel like will be relevant to everybody, not necessarily a twin lesson. But I've mentioned several times that I kind of felt like a big loser for having to have an adjustment bureau come in and arrange for me to have that second twin, since I couldn't finish my work with Michael. Well, I think that I'm coming to believe more and more and more that it wasn't an adjustment bureau. Remember, Eric spoke about blueprints. I feel like we have all these blueprints out there, just like we have all these exit points. And I believe that I jumped into the blueprint that has Fairy Boy and this big old double twin experience. I've also come to the conclusion or the belief that even though there are many blueprints, I kind of feel like this is the dominant one, that I'm taking the path that me and Fairy Girl, we, me, us, I don't even know how to make us be like one entity, that I feel like it's the dominating path. Maybe there's some deviation here and there, but I think all along that I was meant to have two twins. And I think that's for several reasons. I think Michael like took care of like the big clearing in the beginning, because I couldn't even tell you why I was crying half the time. It was just torture. Like I said, it was grief. Not only was it grief, it was like grief for 1,000 days in a row or more. I don't know. How many years is that? 1,000 days in a row, grieving for 1,000 people. It also felt like I was grieving while having a cocaine hangover where I'm depleted of every single fucking ounce of joy, and just I felt like not death, but dying. Like I was dying all the time. So I can't really tell you like exactly what I transmuted other than being second best girl. That must have been like so many clients at the brothel and then so many men of my youth. And then when Fairy Girl told me, she was so casual and nonchalant about it when Michael had that surrogate me step into his life, and she was like, well, he was tired of waiting and he just was ready to move on, so you can't blame him. And she was like, like that was a decision just made. You took too long. And that made me feel abandoned by both Michael and Michael's higher self, Mergerlo. I felt like betrayed by spirit. So I felt like I was betrayed by all the men in my life, including all the spirit men, including Eric, who told me a bunch of lies, and Voltaire, who created an expectation that I had to let go of. And who's the other one? Jean-Francois, who told me that I would choose somebody else before the twin, created an expectation for me in the love bomber. So, and my own higher self, they all betrayed me. But I think that was intentional, because with Michael, I had to have my heart stomped on. I had to be scared off like a a stray dog following you home. So when Fairy Boy came along, I believe I did have more to clear from that experience, but I understood what was happening. And instead of being angry at Fairy Boy and feeling hurt and devastated by it, I did have some moments of, devastation and destruction. But mostly it was resignation, because I had done it before and I knew what was happening. So that was the lesson that made me realize that there's we're victims to know when we write our own script. I wouldn't have learned that if not for the double experience. I also needed Fairy Boy to provide that contrast of the love bomber, because there's so many clues in which I was to connect these two men. I didn't even tell you all of them, because Fairy Boy is a private person, and I might give some hints away. I don't think anybody, or maybe not many people that knows us, watches this show, so I think he's fairly safe, which is why I've been more open about sharing our story. So there's that. I needed him, and maybe, if I didn't go that route, maybe there's another blueprint where Michael, there would have been some clues. I don't know, because they were very clever. In fact, I think, even though it pissed me off, I think that was genius to trick me into believing that the love bomber was a third twin flame in the opposite roles, because there's no other way I could have been coerced into having any kind of, not that I had a desire to be with him. I never did. That was the thing, is to just say no. But I had a desire to heal and move on. And there was no other way to get me to believe that, to go that path with him, to learn how to say no, unless they told me it was a twin thing. So I was pretty smart. That was a good idea. I wonder who helped me with that one. Thanks, M6. Also, fuck you, M6, because that was a really shitty experience. Okay, so and another thing that Fairy Boy provided me is I didn't realize the depth of my body issues, and it was imperative that I have somebody that I was very physically attracted to. He does have a nice face, but I have a nice face too, even with all my old person parts. I feel confident in my face, the boobs up, even though even the boobs aren't even real. They're all because I had surgeries, they're all misshapen and weird. I'm not even having a what's that word? I can't think of the word. Conscious? Self-conscious, whatever. I'm not self-conscious about my boobs and their funky shape. It's all about my belly. Mostly my belly. I don't even care that my thighs are thick and fat and rubbed together. I don't care about my I don't like my arms either. I got wobbly arms, so my arms and my belly and my back fat. Ooh, I don't like any of those. I have the no touch zone. So even though, he does have a nice face, and I go back to those, I'm like, okay, nice face, nice face. That picture that I said that I would look at, I had them both screenshotted together of the two twins and they looked similar. That really is the only picture. I looked at another picture of Michael last night and I don't know why. It came up in like not my memories from Facebook, but my photo album creates memories. Does yours do that sometimes? Anyway, it just popped up. So I stared at this picture for the longest time going, really? Who are you? You're the one my heart belongs. Who are you? There was such a disconnect. What's that thing? Cognitive dissonance? Is that what it's called? It didn't match. So I'm like, who the fuck do I love? Because there's definitely big love for this energy that I call Michael. But looking at that picture of that man, I couldn't put those things together. So for me, with Michael, it's like an energetic connection. It doesn't even matter what the bodies look like. And that's very special to me because I just got done saying that I have a no touch zone. So whether it's true or not, doesn't matter. But I believe that with him, it will be the same as it is with me. And physicality won't matter. My belly and my scars won't matter to him because it's going to be beyond that. It's going to be from a different place. It's going to transcend the body. But with Fairy Boy, and I feel like a really big energetic connection with him too. Clearly, I mean, it was like that. We were friends for a full year before my heart cracked open for him. And I won't say we were good friends. He'd message me and I'd blow him off for 2 weeks. It's not that I didn't like him. I was like, I was busy. He was just some guy I met at my event. I liked him well enough and he's cute, but... So clearly the attraction I feel to him is on a soul level. And I'll have some stories about he and I in past lives. That can be another day if I ever choose to share it. But his physicality mattered very much. And it's his body. He has a beautiful body. So that's where it matters for me. And I mean, the physical parts, because I needed to feel like I had to... I had to keep up with him, and that was a big challenge. Again, when it comes down to it, if I see him and he, turned to like a big round meatball like me, I don't care. I love him anyway. But I needed to feel like I had to keep up with him in order to do this part of my journey. And remember, I've talked about like the eye candy and bragging and, with Jason in one of the videos, I was like, why do I want to brag so much? And I said it was because, I didn't want to be second best secret. It wasn't about eye candy. It was about announcing to the world, look, I'm not a secret anymore. Somebody loves me publicly. And I thought it would be him I thought it would be in Australia taking pictures, which didn't make any sense at all because how the fuck am I going to go to Australia with this beautiful young man who's just ripped? And I'm in my, old lady mom swim dress. I was like, how the fuck is that going to happen? But anyway, in my brain, I had selfies imagined. And I thought he would be the one I'd brag about because he and I would send selfies to each other all the time. And I didn't understand it at the time. I thought maybe we were wooing and flirting with each other, but maybe not because I'd always send like perfect pictures. All my pictures, I doctor them all up. I'm always, the chins are tucked in nice and neat. And, the lines are all blurred out. I always send him really good pictures of me because I'm trying to woo him and, give him something for the spank bank. But he would send me pictures of himself at work with his safety goggles and helmet on, and I'd laugh so hard because clearly he wasn't trying to woo me, but he wooed me anyway because those funny pictures charmed me. They just did, because I really like confidence. It is confidence in your looks when you're not trying is very sexy. So I can see where Eric's coming from with that. So because of the selfie exchange, I thought that he would be the one that I would brag about. But no, I don't think that's it at all. He's a very private person. I have a feeling that if I do that, get that experience of being able to brag and make our relationship public, it will just be with our group of friends. I don't know. We'll see. I don't even care anymore. I don't need that experience with him or even Michael. I don't feel like I need that experience, mostly because I'm giving it to myself through these videos. You don't need to know his name. I'm just going to tell you, this guy is going to become very desirous of me. So the selfies played into it. It was significant because I needed to have the body thing. And gosh, it just trips me out. I mean, Of course, clearly I've had body issues and weight issues my whole entire life. But when I started it, let's go through my healing journey. It was like in January of 2018. So now we're like 2018. We're like just past January 2021, and I'm still not there. I'm back to like where I was in 2018. I might even be bigger. I think I'm bigger than I am, but the same thing. So me going back to whining about my lot in life right now, I am still overweight, trapped at home, fighting with my husband. I feel like I'm in the same exact spot. I know I'm not, because I don't have to deal with my mom, and I know I've got a lot of work under my belt. But right now, in this time in my life, it very much resembles back then, and I'm sick of it. I'm ready for a change. But luckily for me, I know how to facilitate it. I know how to heal. I know it just takes time. I have faith that I'll get there. Let me see. Did I have anything else to talk about the twins? Oh, and another thing, I told you that picture of both of them together. I kept staring at that, and I'm done looking at it because I really want them to be separate. It really wasn't a spank bank picture necessarily. It was, but I didn't mean for it to be. It just happened. But I'd be, I'd try, and just come from my own curiosity, I would be like, if I had to choose one of them to have a romance with, which one would it be? I absolutely cannot choose. I can't choose. I love them and I want them both. Although if I were really, really pressed for it, I gotta say that I might lean towards Fairy Boy a little bit, because Michael is so intense and he's been so painful, and I feel like he's like a stranger. Fairy Boy kind of feels like a stranger to me now too. It's been so long, but I had enough of him to know that he'll be fun, and that the depth of the pain wasn't even close to what it was with Michael. But honestly, I can't choose. I can't choose between the two of them. I want them both. I feel like, well, I used to say that do I know Fairy Boy better than I know Michael? I'm not sure. I used to feel that way, but again, so much time has gone by, and even though I might not know who Michael is, I know him in a different level. It's like a matter of just trust and knowing. I can't explain it. Michael definitely knows me better than Fairy Boy does, though. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, no, I did forget something huge. Oh, okay, so I'm in my humdrum life. Okay, I got a couple things. So one of them is that, you know how I do things just like the internet does? Like I did like the Sex Life Matter at the same time that all of the sex shit's coming out, and I'm doing the diet culture shit as the diet culture shit's coming out. And I'm not doing this one, but my daughter, she's doing like the gender shit as the gender shit's coming out. She's a they. I'm having a really hard time like changing her their pronouns to they instead of her pronouns to they. She's not a she, her, or a Hershey. She's a they, them, and I'm having a hard time with that. Anyway, so what else do I do? I can't remember, but I do all the same things that the world does at large. So all my hard work's done. Well, my personal past traumas are done, but I still believe I'm going to experience things and heal or whatever with the world. So you know what buzzword keeps coming up? It happened once and I let it go. I was going to wait and see if it came up again. And it did come up again 2 more times. So now I see 3 instances of the word polyamory making the headlines. Willow Smith is one of them. And then let's see, one of the Kardashians, I think, got back together with her ex, but they've decided to have an open polyamorous relationship. And there's one other person, I can't remember who that is, but she too has claimed that she wants to try polyamory. And I've been told all along I'm going to have 2 boyfriends at once. Wonder if I get to experience, learn, and teach about the virtues and beauty of polyamory. Huh. Let's see about that. Okay, and then this one's kind of like, I don't know what to do with this. I'm not really going to worry about it too much, but it is a thought I had. Now, my whole life, since I was old enough to love boys, which is like 12 years old, say, with the boy at the skating rink, the first, don't tell anyone person, I've always been chasing. I've always chased. Even if it's like having a crush on the guy on the TV, I'm chasing somebody. Unrequited love all the time. And to be honest, that's where I'm still at. I'm still in a place of unrequited love. The difference between the unrequited love now and the unrequited love, past 7 years or a whole lifetime is that I no longer have to do any inner work. I don't have to let them go. I don't have to let things go. And I didn't let them go because I still love them. But what I let go of was traumas, the humiliation and shame. I let go of expectations. I let go of beliefs that no longer served me. I let go of a lot of things. I did not let go of my love for them. So that's still there. So I'm still in a place of unrequited love. And as I just got done mentioning not too long ago, that is my place to love them. That's my place of comfort. My place of joy is to imagine and fantasize. Now, I still go through cycles. On some days, I'm like just fully immersed in them. I love those days. And that transmutation cycle I've spoken about, where you're like manic and you're riding high, and then you crash and burn and your whole world is over. And then you have, some time of being kind of even keeled for a while to recuperate. Well, I'm still doing that. It's just less obvious. Although I told my kids about this, Layla kind of laughed at me, although she recanted that because she knew that it was rude, disrespectful, and that I might be onto something, because I do have a weird life. But, most of what I say ends up happening or is my truth. So you can't discount this stuff. It might really happen. But remember, Eric said to pay attention to the cycles of the moon. Well, I've been kind of trying to, but who's taken it on himself to do it is my boy Ryan. So he figured out that we all, the family, that intervention I spoke about, that happened on the new moon. So shit's happening on both the new moon and the full moon. It's like we go through some shit at this moon phase, and then we release it on the other phase. I'm not sure if that's what's happening yet, but Ryan and I are really clocking it. I can't believe I'm like affected by the moon like that. I always think all that shit's just a bunch of bullshit. However, if we're all one and I'm very, energetically connected to things and feel things, if the moon can move the tides and change the ocean waves, then why can't it affect my mood? It's possible. So I can't, completely let go of that one. Okay, what was I going to say about that though? Oh, so chasing, my whole life chasing. What's going to happen when I finally catch? It's going to be a nice moment, sure, but then I run away. I've never had that experience, at least not in this kind of context. I did with the love bomber, but that was completely different. That was me never ever even wanting to go near that thing. It wasn't somebody loving me and then getting them and then changing my mind for whatever reason. So what happens after, I'm the chaser, then I'm the runner, then we have balance and our relationships are okay, whatever that means. Friends, I don't know what it means. I'll look forward to balance though. But then there's no more chase. And I remember one time I was at Elisa's house and I was talking to Robert. I was always pumping him for information. Give me a message. And he would. And one time we were sitting around the fire. They had a little chimenea. And Ra, as in like the sun god or the Egyptian god or whoever, comes in and he starts laughing at me and I'm like, what's he laughing at me for? And he goes, because you love the chase. What am I going to do when the chase is done? And then, I've also told that, I don't know how, wait, I just have to show you how cute I am with all this watermelon shit. That's my Michael and Eric theme. Tiffany gave these to me for my birthday. I was supposed to open up with that stuff, the birthday trip. Got my watermelon tattoo. My watermelon charm. You can't see it anymore, but I even put like pink and green hair chalk in my hair. I'm a watermelon girl today. Okay, I totally derailed myself. So I don't know what's going to happen after the chase ends. And again, another thing. Okay, I just got done doing this pendulum thing. I think that's the same thing with my husband too. I think we're over here now. Fighting, hating, conflicting, battling. And then we're going to come over here. I don't know what that here is. Is that when I move out? Do I really move out for a while? And remember I was saying stuff like, why would he pay for that? Why would he? And I'm thinking, because it's cheaper than a divorce. How much money does it cost for two people to get lawyers and hash it out? He has two houses. He owns 2 houses and 4 cars and has a fuckload of money in the bank. It would not, serve him to divorce me. I've been married for 30 years. I could get I could get myself set up. I'm not interested in that though. I really am not. So maybe we just decide, maybe he believes me that we do, I do this pendulum shit and that we just need some time apart and he helps me with that, or at least offers to, because the story goes that I turned down his offer. And then I started to think that's not even true. But maybe it is a little bit. Maybe that does happen. And then when we find balance, our balance becomes what I fantasize about, which is for us to become friends and partners, but not a married couple, a partnership. Because if we were to divorce, he would lose having me in the home. He'd lose a member of his family living in the house. But me, I'd lose everything. I'd lose being in the family unit. I'd lose the home. I'd lose the money. I'd lose the food. I'd lose the car. I'd lose the insurance. I'd lose everything. I have no means to support myself. So I just don't feel like I'm meant to figure that shit out. You remember Eric said the universe is going to hook me up. I mean, maybe I get an inheritance. I don't know, but I really like the idea of spending time away from my husband, then coming back into a way that isn't here or here. Center me. I want to be balanced with him. I want to get along with him. I don't even want to it doesn't interest me to rekindle a romance with him. I'm not interested in that. So on that, once I finish my twin relationships, well, first of all, will I ever really finish them? Or do we keep coming back and meeting again? According to what I've heard, Fairy Boy and I will meet each other 2 more times, probably for the big union and then probably for the balance. But according to what I've heard in the readings, Michael and I will continue to connect. I don't know, but is that going to be enough for me? I've gone a lifetime without sex and love, sex and romantic love. Is that going to be enough for me? Or will I choose to have a romance with another man? Again, I'm not so sure about that because that puts my living, my future in not necessarily jeopardy, but how will I support myself? Who's going to pay my dental bills? That kind of stuff. And not that I'm using my husband for that, but we have a truly symbiotic relationship. I am completely essential in this home, whether he wants to admit it or not. I matter and I do a lot of work around here. He can't see it because number one, he doesn't want to admit that inner work is a big deal because then he will have to do it. If he thinks it's a bunch of bullshit, then he doesn't have to do it. So he calls me out and says, I'm full of shit. It's not real stuff. But I think that's to protect his own ego so he doesn't have to do his stuff. Number 2, my work doesn't come with a paycheck. And he very much values the paycheck. I'm not so sure the amount so much. I don't think he'd care that. He'd probably care more about the hours worked than the money. He wants to see a person do a good, hard day's work. And what he sees me doing a lot of times is getting high, dancing around to, music while I'm energy healing and crying. So, that's not hard work to him. It doesn't pay the bills. So my next thought was, if I'm done with the twins and I'm unsure about a romance with another man and I'm not having one with mine, but I have a very strong sexual appetite, maybe that's why Avery becomes I was going to say stronger force. That's not what I meant, but a more accessible, relationship to me. Maybe that's when that starts happening. Maybe I just get to have this dual life as space or Earth Girl and Spaceman. I don't know. I like that thought. I like the thought of being able to connect with him. He feels the farthest away from me than the other 2 do. He does feel a little bit imaginary. I see some of the posts in Stardust about people talking about their space lovers or whatever. And even though, I'm right there too, I got one too, it just sounds ridiculous to me. I still believe in it because I have my own experiences. It can't all be made up. But at the same time, I'm like, what the fuck? That shit can't be real. Stop your fantasies. But I don't know. I would really like to have a context and have that be real to me again. So again, I was way over here in woo-woo world. Now I'm way over here in 3D world. And then once I come back in balance, maybe that will be my option for my lifetime romance. Because Avery's never going to care about how fat and old I get. It's all about energy for him. So how do you like that? Okay, let me do a quick little thing through my notes. I've gone way past an hour. Oh, and I forgot to say, oh, here's another thing. Remember I said that I am the mirror for my husband and that he is a mirror for me? He's not a mirror for me because there's nobody more self-reflective than I am. Nobody has more introspection than I do. And there's no way that that man can get inside my head and say, this is why you have trauma. He doesn't pay attention enough to see that. So I would just like completely reject anything he ever tried to say to me. He's not my mirror. I'm his mirror, but I don't need somebody to tell me because I always figure my own shit out. But I do still do my inner work through him. I really do want to learn how to calm down, and I do see progress. And the reason I see progress is because I have such a huge desire to calm down, and because I am, just like Eric said, I'm seeing the trauma of him and the 6-year-old, like with the popsicle sticks. You can't like scream and rage and expect a 6-year-old to figure it out. So even though he's a 57-year-old man and has his shit together, he's a 6-year-old boy that's hurt and victimy. All right. I think I am good with this one. I hope I don't have to add. I think I did okay. Okay, twins, do I got all you? Ooh, I used to like end my love letters to him. Like, you're my favorite everything ever. I love you infinity both ways. That's how I would say goodbye to Michael. That was one of the notes. Because remember I said the first time I did this video, I was like all in love. So another thing I would do is like, I used to imagine, remember I got done saying that energy healing I did for Layla, we were like, you know, like just people hugging like energy people. Well, I used to do the same thing with Michael. My fantasies of him would be like, just be like stardust people in an embrace, and our arms and legs would just like intertwine like vines and go on for infinity. And, you know, my date, my union with him, my life with him, I'd just be fine to just go in a cave and wrap up in each other's arms and just starve to death and disintegrate and have our bones, our rib cage get tangled into each other. That's good. Just die in your arms. That's good, but not Fairy Boy, man. I want to do all kinds of fun stuff with him. So my fantasies about Fairy Boy don't have anything to do with swirling our limbs in infinite vines. But before I was blocked of my fantasies, I'd fantasize about being with him with my Walmart jeans. I'm like all the way naked except for my Walmart jeans and my sock. I can't get past that part, and I can't even find that part anymore. But I'm so excited to fit into my Walmart jeans again that they became incorporated into my fantasy. That's so funny. Let's see here. Okay. Okay, I guess that's it. See, I'm just adding things at the last minute so I don't have to like tack them on later. I don't like that part. All right. Okay, I really am going to wrap it up. All right, you guys, thank you very much. I apologize for not having an intro. Hopefully that one will come up soon. All right. Thanks again, guys. Bye.